This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. We're at Frontier Gallery. For over 29 years, they have been gaining experience in the antique firearms world to help you, the folks of Denver, in your collections. I'm here with David, who is the owner. Let me ask you, first of all, David, what is it that got you involved in this industry?
It has just been collecting on my own, collecting old Western firearms and enjoying the history that comes with them.
One of the things out there, be it a modern man of today or the guys of yesteryear, gun collecting is always something that's been popular. It's very alive and well. Why do you think that is?
Because of the history of the firearms. Firearms have been around for so long that has changed history and made history and kept people alive through hunting.
One of the things I notice here, you've got antiques, you got modern works, but really your specialty is in the antique collections. Why the fascination with that, and why do you think even the young kids are starting to look at things like this and realize that a lot of history is in a certain piece right in front of them?
Well, I know growing up I used to enjoy watching the Westerns, on television and in movies and stuff, and so I just kind of gained an appreciation for the old Winchesters and revolvers that the guys were using. And then as I got older, it's like, this is kind of fun, and you'd get a piece, you'd research it, find out when it was used, possibly where it was used, and sometimes, on rare occasion, who owned it. And then, you can kind of put it together with, it was used here in Colorado in the Western Slope in 1862, right at the beginning of the Civil War, or it was used during the mining era up in Central City, just all kinds of different places.
If some of these pieces could talk, huh?
Oh, if they could talk, there'd be a lot of stories floating around.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, what is it that qualifies something as an antique? Is this a special ignition system that they used back then, or how does that work?
Well, the legal definition of an antique is anything that was actually manufactured before 1899.
What about replicas? Are they classified as an antique as well, and do they have to be made a certain way?
No, replicas, as long as the firearm is made with either flintlock system or percussion cap and ball system, regardless of when it was made, then it's automatically isn't really qualified as a firearm.
Okay. Well, you spoke earlier, like we say, we grew up watching some of these Westerns and seeing some great guns. I noticed are those muzzle loading? Is that something that was popular back then? Is that on the rifles as well as the handhelds?
Yes, it's in rifles as well as pistols. Anything before cartridges were muzzle loaders, where you had to pack the powder, ball, and everything down the barrel, whether it be a long gun or a handgun. What
are some of the types of antiques folks are going to find as they come through your shop here? I mean, I see around me everything, like you say, from rifles to pistols and a little bit of in between. Did they actually have brands back then, or were these just individual independent makers?
There were a lot of independent makers back in the flintlock and percussion era, especially in the percussion era. But when you get into cartridges, you see a lot more name brands like Winchester, Remington, Colt, Ithaca, Brown, whole wide variety. But that's when they started with the brand names. Now, even in the percussion era, they did have a lot of brand names. You had a lot of them like out of St. Louis and the East Coast that were all brand names.
Some of these names that we're pretty popular with today were well known. Have they been around for some time, since way back then?
Yes, you have Remington and Winchester and Colt that have been around 200 years.
I had no idea of that, so they've been doing this for some time.
A very long time.
I see the guns as a big part here, but quite honestly, back in the day, they had other types of weapons that were used as well. Do you sometimes delve into antique weapons also?
Yes, I delve into swords and spikes and pikes and just kind of all kinds of old types of, not necessarily firearms, but of weaponry.
Like we said, your specialty is that of antiques, but you also offer modern firearms as well. Share with me what you're able to share with folks as they come through the door.
Well, on the modern firearm end, we can do special orders, and we also do transfers. Whereas if you buy something online, we can do the transfer for you. But we really don't stock modern guns.
Is there a different process of me owning a modern gun legally versus that of an antique?
Yes, there is. Anything that was manufactured in 1899 or up to today requires filling out a background check form and going through the state and federal background check system.
Obviously, one of the things you have here as well to complement any piece that you might have are some basically leather. You've got some leather works here. Share with us. Do you go out and look for that type of thing, or that can be ordered as well?
I try to keep a hold of the older, more original types of holsters and belts and things like that. I don't really order the modern stuff because you can order it yourself. It doesn't require, a gun shop such as myself for that.
Folks, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see basically is their website. On the website, you get a clear idea a little bit more about the company here. Like I say, for over 29 years, they've been gaining the experience so they can pass on that experience to you. Quite honestly, each one of these pieces down here holds a story with it. And David himself was fascinated as a young person, and it went on through his adult years, and he knows there's folks out there the same way just like that. We've spoke a lot about men loving this type of thing, but really, I see a lot of women who are really into this type of thing as well.
Yes, there are quite a few women who enjoy the shooting sports, and all of these firearms are shootable. So you can go out and shoot in all kinds of competitions. I use 2 old Winchesters made in 1900 to shoot competitively with.
I notice on the walls here you've got some antique art as well. I mean, something that really would go nice above a gun collection.
Yes, there are. There's several selections of different types of artwork that we carry. Most of it is unique and one of a kind, and then a few are just good old normal prints.
I see some stuff up there with memorabilia. I mean, we're talking about even some of the ammunition that was used in a certain movie or something like that of a Western.
Yes, we do have some autographed pieces with memorabilia that do have certified authentic autographs of the stars that are shown in the images.
Back in the day, these guys were jumping on horses with their guns. One of the other places they were always found was there on a railroad track or jumping on a train. I see some memorabilia there as well. Is that something that kind of ties in with this whole thing?
Yes, it is. I also enjoy the old railroads, the good old steam era. So yeah, the cowboys and Indians and the steam engines, they all just kind of come together and just kind of makes for a complete old west type of environment.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here today, David. And folks, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website once again. If you have a question and you're not sure of something he may offer down here, give them a call as well. Their phone number is right there also. But quite honestly, everything from snake oil to your leather goods to some railroad ties. We're talking about art on the walls. They've got great antique memorabilia as well as working actual guns that folks used back in the day. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.